Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to Owl Insights. This is where we explore the trends, challenges, innovations shaping the world of KYC, third-party risk management, fin crime, or what we together refer as risk intelligence. I'm Sjoerd Lehmhuis, I'm the CEO and founder of Owlin, and today I'm joined by Ralf Nieuwenhuizen, our CTO. We're going to tackle a question today that we hear constantly from our customers, investors, and the market. And the question is AI going to kill SaaS, software as a service? So since this is a very technical question, and since it is also impacting the future of Owlin, I could not think of anyone better to discuss this with than Ralf, our CTO. So you're the right person to dig into this with me, Ralf. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
Everyone is saying AI will kill SaaS. Maybe that's a bit bold statement, but Ralf, are SaaS companies in trouble?
I don't think you can say that as a generic blanket statement. I think some SaaS companies might be in trouble. But the notion that, hey, it's cheap to build software, so I don't need to buy it anymore, I think that is the wrong perspective. Because it suggests that people don't actually understand what the value proposition was in the first place. Because the cost, generally speaking, isn't how much is it to build something. The cost is how much is it to own it. How much it is to own that particular business process, from maintenance, support, security, governance, and also just the opportunity cost in terms of focus. So from that perspective, yeah, if you have a very shallow SaaS product, then perhaps you are at risk. But a SaaS product that it owns a complex, high stakes, domain-specific process, it's still going to have a real value proposition.
Nice. So that's an interesting angle you introduced there. It's not about building it, it's about maintaining it. And also make sure it's at par with the latest regulations, right? So the GDPR, privacy law, that there's way more to it than just building it something. So why? Yet still a lot of companies do look at it from how expensive is it to build, right? So
yeah, it's a common thing I've heard. How expensive is to build, or often is how long will it take to build, and then they have a sense of the cost. But I think anyone who asks that question doesn't really understand the cost of operating software. It used to be a place where there was a little bit of a pushback from, well, it's expensive to build, so we can't do it. But very often the people pushing back on that were actually realizing that it's too much of a distraction to actually be running it. So the question should have never been, can we build it? But even more today, the question, since the building costs are essentially are going down so drastically with AI, the question is, should we own it? And this comes from a perspective when you pay engineers to write code and you look at that code as if it's an asset. But actually, if you move it into production, it becomes a liability. And your understanding of how to solve a problem is an asset. But having to maintain this process internally, having customers from that moment on depend on it, that is a liability. So if you end up adding a new feature that is not structurally productive, it's not increasing your revenue in any meaningful way, but you now have to own and maintain that feature over time, you've actually increased the leverage on your company rather than and on your product, rather than actually creating value.
So and I think that is saying,
sorry, yes?
No, so you're saying, Ralf, yes, we can build something fast, but everybody should question themselves, are we the right company to maintain this, operate this, run this piece of software as well? When I come back to what you just said, you said something about...
More than ever, the question should be, should we?
Should we build this ourselves, or should we not build this ourselves?
You should spend more time making sure you know why you want to do what you're doing, rather than trying it out. Because it's very cheap now to get into, to roll out a feature or to try out a new product, but it's not necessarily going to be expensive, cheap. to keep it running. And from that moment on, you might have people depending on it, customers depending on it, and this is real risk.
So I think this whole point is clear, right? It's there's more to software than just building the software, and but yet you also mentioned that some shallow SaaS companies, is that the right term you used, might get disrupted. So which are the ones that will be disrupted according to you, and which are the ones that won't?
I think if they don't own a process, so if you would use them for a single task, and you take the output and you take it home, then I think they are very strongly at risk of being disrupted, because they don't actually own the process for you.
Can you give examples of SaaS companies in your eyes, or type of companies, or type of tools that are in your eyes too single tasked?
Let's see if I can find a good example. I can imagine anything that helps you convert or helps you integrate with another platform might be at risk, because it does make a lot of sense to own the integrations yourself.
Yeah, and I think talking about speaking out our own experience, this is what we see as well, right? I think the speed in which you can build new integrations, it has never been so fast as today. So that's so in then this way, right? So the integrations in that's a way AI is expected to be disruptive. Do you see any other ways in which AI is expected to be disruptive?
I think it's disruptive in two different directions. I think, first of all, it lowers the barrier to entry. So if you are selling a particular solution, the amount of capital and the amount of time required for someone that chooses to compete with you to be able to compete with you goes down. On the other end, it raises the bar of what people can expect from you in terms of value. In some cases, it'll be both. So it is not surprising that there's a lot of organizations that choose to become leaner, because their competition will be smaller too.
Nice. So I like it the way you say. If we summarize it, AI is although it's lowering the barrier, it's actually raising the bar of what we can expect from any given application in software.
Yeah, drastically. And that means that in whatever field you are in whatever sector you're serving, you have to look around and realize that your competitors are going to, on average, be smaller companies than what they are today.
Nice. Hey, and talking about increased expectations, can you then tell maybe how this impacts the way we use AI in your team at Owlin?
Well, we obviously also use AI within our own pipeline and products, for things like translation, entity recognition, fact extraction, classification, risk assessment, summarization. But internally, we also use it for development work. We use it for data work, and the goal there is not simply to produce more features faster. Rather, we try to use it in the other direction. We use AI to pay down technical debt, product debt, support debt, and documentation debt. We're not trying to use AI to do more. We are trying to make sure that the important things we do better.
Nice.
So we are very much focused on trying to raise the bar.
So instead of indeed going faster, we make sure it raises the bar. Hey, Ralf, we talk to many business users. We talk to many data science teams. Most of them know our value, right? But in order to explain it to the broader audience, at some parties I go to, I get the question, why do people still need Owlin? Why can't they just use cloud or another AI tool, Gemini, to do the work?
Well, those tools, these general purpose tools, can be useful, but we are not the adverse media monitoring and third-party risk management is not just a question entering problem. It is an operational, regulatory, auditability problem. It has a particular, it's a system, not just a model. So we use AI, but the value is a framework around it. the data infrastructure, the domain expertise, quality controls. And we have more than a decade of experience on how to deal with the sort of questions that that will be raised about auditability and due diligence. It's also very risky to think, oh, AI makes it cheaper to do, for example, due diligence, because a reasonable amount of effort for due diligence in the world of AI just means that the bar has been raised. The expectations of what you should be doing are now much higher.
I hear you saying something about data infrastructure, and I think what maybe to add there as well, right? What maybe not everybody realizes is the sheer amount of data that needs to be analyzed. If you take a look at our own platform, it runs analyzes 2 million articles a day. If you want to build it yourself with cloud or AI, maybe you can do that, and then you can build a platform that analyzes all these articles. But only running this platform in itself will have such a huge cost on your cloud and AI bill, and then adding to that all the points that you just mentioned about auditability, explainability.
Yeah.
So I think
that's in the world. That's in the world where somebody already understands that it is a process and that it requires a system. In which case, they would probably attempt to build something we have, and then they come to the realization that just the cloud fee alone is already not competitive with our pricing.
So I think the sheer scale of it and also the unit economics that work there will already prevent this from ever being the case that you can build something like this cheaper, better, or than just buy it. So that's an interesting thing. Well, Ralf, I think we touched a lot of topics, and I think the summary is AI will absolutely reshape the software industry. Some companies, they might disappear, but new ones will emerge. The barrier to building products never has been lower, but the bar is rising ever since. And I think in the end, right, maybe although software might be easy to copy, it's about scalability, it's about judgment, trust, infrastructure, operational maturity. I think these are all the things that we covered. So, Ralf,
it doesn't remove the need for expertise. It just raises the standard for it.
Nice. Thanks for all these insights, and to everybody else, thanks for listening to All Insights.